So your girl has read 90 books since January 1st, 2026. And this is the month of June, so I want to give you my top like four books that I really enjoyed for June. And I'm going to tell you my reasons why as well. My fourth pick, Moonstruck by Jade Ambrosia. I love this book because of the banter. I love when characters are witty and they're flirting, right? Because you have to have a sense of like wittiness when you're flirting in order for it to come off as not like aggressive or creepish, but something that will get a person to look at you like twice, like, oh, okay, like I see that we can go back and forth, tit for tat, but it's in a fun and engaging way. And I absolutely positively enjoyed their conversations in this book because of that. It is a fantasy story, which I loved, which does talk about someone who had something happen to them. And because of that, she was trying to stay away from people. But her fated mate actually showed up and was like, let me show you how to live your life in the way that I've been living my life as a werewolf, as a wolf. And let me be there for you. Let me show you what this can be. And at the end of this book, she had to make a choice of what she actually truly wanted. And I think she made the right choice for herself. So this is Moonstruck, and this is my number four book. Number three is Flamebound by September Knight. September Knight is one of my favorite fantasy authors, and she did not disappoint with this book. This is a part of a series, which I enjoy a lot. And I love this book because one, you're getting to see like I don't want to call them the B characters. You have like the A celebrities, then the B celebrities. But I feel like in this story, they are not the main, in the series, they are not the main characters. And so these are like the one-off books. But in this story, you have this young lady who is brilliant and she's trying to save her dad. And because of that, she is very like, I have to focus on what I'm doing. And yeah, I might want to get a little, a little something, something on the side, but it's never worked out for her because she's always felt like there's been something that's been missing. The one thing that really pissed me off in this book, which does happen a lot, especially in circles where you have people who think they are elite blacks, that black excellence trope shit, and the way that they feel about people who they deem are beneath them because of their station in society. Okay. And so her in the beginning part of the book, you hear her talking to this person who's supposed to be her boyfriend. Mind you, she's very much smarter than him, but he feels like he is better than her because he grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth and she grew up on the south side of Chicago. And he's very much like, I can have these white girls and you are just like a placeholder. So get with it or don't get lost because I kind of actually need you, but just get with it. And she chose not to. And I was like, yes, thank you, because what are we doing? But aside of that, she had a dragon, a royal dragon, who didn't play about her, but also made sure that she had what she needed in order to complete the research for her dad. And I love that he didn't want to change her. He didn't want to put her in a bind where he said, you have to choose me or your daddy, right? He wanted her to do the things that she loved and even brought her into his world to say, hey, you have this knowledge that we can use. So I want you to use that knowledge to make what we have better. And I thought that was really, really good because it shows how a lot of authors are transitioning. Like I say, because I've read all the books, okay? And how a lot of the books would have a character who is a woman kind of dim herself down. But in this story, she was bright as the sun. And he did not want to snuff that out. And so I greatly appreciate that the characters in the women characters, the female characters in September Knight's books are just as badass as the male characters. This is Flamebound. That is my number three book. This is After Hours by Evelyn Leigh. Let me just say, this is an anthology of several stories that center around a sex club, a kink club in New York City. And each story has its own like way that you figure out or learn more about this kink community. And I love that because I find sometimes in a lot of the stories that I read, especially when they're bringing in kink or BDSM or any of those things, they don't seem to give it the reverence that it deserves, the respect that it deserves. And so a lot of times certain things get lost in translation because it's like, wait, where's the consent? Where's the conversation? Okay. And in this book, in this anthology, there are several things happening where consent, where information, questioning, questionnaires is a major part of the lessons that you're seeing in this book. I also appreciated that the author herself gave her spiel about being a bi woman and what that meant for her and her journey, not just as, an author, but also her journey as a woman with her family and how that reflects, how that is being reflected in her work. And so that I thought was beautiful. They had stories about, women, with women with men, and then with a whole like three people where there was a married couple and they got it on with this young lady. And even within that space, the consent that the couple had and the boundaries that they reinforced with each other, I thought was a really beautiful reflection of this author's work. And so I hope that some of these stories in this book, I really hope that she expands on them a little bit more, because I would like to read about, especially like the last couple in this story, which is the owner, the co-owner, excuse me, of this kink club. I would really like to see like his story kind of fleshed out, or even his sister's story, because she talked about it a little bit, but didn't really, she didn't get her own story. So I would love to see something about the sister. But overall, this was my number 2 book for June, After Hours. I had to save this one for number 1. I had to save like this book. I think I saw it on Threads or in one of the like Black Facebook groups. I can't remember which one, but I got it and I was like, oh, okay. So this is called Theirs by M.L. Bash, and this book was like, wow. Okay. So the premise of the book is that there's a young lady who is a sex worker. She's a cam girl, and she is being stalked by 2 separate people. And even that, like in itself, is like, what is happening right now? So one guy she's being stalked by is someone that has known her since they were in like high school, because he was friends with her brother. It's another guy that she works with that's a bouncer. And the bouncer and her have kind of had like this little flirty moment type of situation. And then the other guy has been watching her because he is a part of her subscription service where she does her cam work. And he also has like infiltrated her home and put cameras up. And the other guy, who is the security guard, has tapped her car so he knows wherever she is. He put a tracker in her car. And she's this little short little thing with a lot of like fire behind her. And what was wild is that in like the beginning of the book, she's doing her cam work and then she goes to work. And one of the things that she's doing is giving men shots and then slapping them hard as shit in the face. And they're paying, I think, like $25 for this. And I'm just like, I'm in the wrong business because I need to be slapping people and making money. But that lends itself to how she pretty much lives her life. Like she is, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm making good money doing what I want. And I know that I probably won't ever be in a relationship because men suck when it comes to trying to make me something that I am not. And she talks about that because both of these men want her to be their wives. Like they are very clear on like the first date, we finna get married. And she's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, I'm not going to take you serious. I'm a cam girl. Like, you know that. And most of the time when I'm dating men, or men who think they want to be in a relationship with me, they get in a relationship with me because they love my sexiness. They love how beautiful I am. And then they want to change me immediately. And she's like, so I'm good on that. Like we can, have fun in the bedroom, but outside of that, it's just not going to happen. But these 2 men prove her wrong. They prove her wrong because they're like, listen, I know what you do. I'm very much aware of it and I'm fine with that. I still want to marry you. And what was so interesting is that at first the 2 men were going to go head to head. You have one who has a lot of money. He's a tech business owner. And then you have the other guy who is kind of like, I've been to jail. I'm helping raise my family. He's the oldest, I think like 6 brothers. And yeah, the oldest, I think, six brothers, and he is raising his family. And I think the youngest is like in middle school or something like that. And so he is like, I am trying to live my life. I'm trying to do all these things. I'm trying to stay on the straight and narrow because we all live in this house together. And I want to make sure that because my dad dropped the ball, the mothers dropped the ball, that I'm going to provide for my family. And it was interesting to see the way that he was trying to express himself and the way that she also had a problem with expressing herself because of her past traumas with her daddy, who was a no good cheater. And then you have this other guy who was straight lace. He's comes from two-parent household. He has all this money and he's using it for stalking. But what made this story so interesting is that, like, she knew both of these men liked her, and she was like, "Bet, since you like me and you claim you want to be with me, you're going to do something that I want you to do, and that's how I will know that you want me." And they were willing to do anything. It didn't matter what it was sexually. Didn't matter what it was when it came to money. For the one guy, they were willing to do anything to keep her with them. It was an obsession. Like, when I say willing to do anything, I mean willing to do anything. And I was like, oh, okay, wow. And it was interesting because this book was a story of overcoming trauma. It was a story of um, what masculinity can look like when you don't care about what other people have to say about you. And it also is a story of, I think, unprocessed trauma, honestly, and what that looks like and how it can manifest in certain ways. And also unprocessed mental illness, honestly, because there's a scene in this story where there's a very violent scene, and it's just like, what the hell just happened? How did this get popped off like this? But it also is a story about family and how loyalty and family is such an important role in how we live our lives, especially when it comes to building family and building community, and who is in community with you and how you each care for each other. And what does that look like? Not just with like your family, your biological family, but who you decide to have as your found family as well. And I love this story for that reason. The spice was spicing. I ain't even gonna hold you, okay? There is male, male, there is male, female, male, there is fluids exchange, okay? There is a lot of stuff in this book, but I love that the author did not forget the plot. I know sometimes I'll read books that are like this, and the plot sometimes just doesn't make sense because there's just too many things happening. I read a book recently that was like that. It was like, none of these things make sense. But I love how this author really focused not only just on like the sex scenes, but focused on what happens after that scene. Focuses on the dialogue between these two people, especially when you have someone who's never been with another man and how he's processing what this is for him in real time, and giving them the space to have different point of view. So that's the other thing I love. There was the young lady's point of view, and then each guy, Stone was one guy. Damn, I can't remember the other man's name. And his point of view and how they all like work together, because it was a lot, especially towards the end. It was a lot, but they got their happy ever after, and I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. This is my number one read for June. So if you read any of these books right here, please let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know if this review helped, because I always want to make sure that we are reading some amazing Black authors who happen to be independent authors. So I got all these books on Kindle Unlimited, but of course, find their websites, go on their websites and buy their books, because we want to give the girls their coins always, always, always. And you are your longest and most expensive relationship. Any money or time that you spend being your favorite version of yourself is never money or time wasted. Until next time.